A destitute backpacker rescues a woman ensnared in a fierce snowstorm, oblivious to the fact that she is a billionaire heiress destined to transform his life in unimaginable ways. Resist the urge to succumb to slumber. Should you succumb to slumber at this moment, there exists a chance you may never awaken. The chill, envelops me, a biting reminder of the frigid air that surrounds my being. Kindly, I ask you to stay by my side. The wind howled through the trees, sending snow swirling in all directions, resembling a dazzling white veil. Liam lurched ahead, his scarf rigid and icy against his skin, boots cracking through the deep drifts as he struggled to maintain his balance. His hands felt like ice, and each breath seared through his lungs. He ought to have remained in his tent, yet an unusual form in the distance had piqued his curiosity. An enigmatic silhouette just beyond the mountain pass. At that moment, certainty enveloped him. There lay a car, half submerged in a blanket of snow, its body tilted on its side, one headlight flickering weakly against the relentless storm. Liam's heart raced as he approached, clearing the thick layers of snow that obscured the driver's window. Within the confines of the room, his gaze fell upon her. A woman leaned heavily against the steering wheel, her complexion ghostly, her lips a shade of blue. A crimson stream oozed from a gash on her forehead. She donned a sumptuous winter coat, now drenched and adhering to her form like a spectral veil. Her hand dangled loosely from the wheel, a diamond bracelet shimmering softly in the waning light. Liam struck the glass with fervor. "Greetings, can you perceive my voice?" "Excuse me, miss." No response. With unwavering determination, he delved into his backpack, seized his multi-tool, and worked at the door until it surrendered with a reluctant groan. Chilled air surged through the space. Liam crawled inside, his hand finding her wrist, where a faint pulse lingered, fragile yet persistent. He surveyed his surroundings. Only she remained, the sole passenger in the quiet expanse. He wrapped his arms around her, drawing her in with a tender pull. She let out a soft moan, yet remained in slumber. He held her close, her warmth pressed against him, as he trudged through the snow, slipping and stumbling beneath her burden. The biting cold seeped into his bones, yet he pressed on undeterred. His tent lay nestled half a mile away, downhill, cradled between two protective ridges. Minutes later, he arrived, breathless and trembling. With a swift motion, he pushed aside the flap and gently placed her upon his sleeping bag. The diminutive stove flickered to life, struggling to maintain a semblance of warmth in the frigid air that enveloped the space. He removed her drenched coat, enveloping her in warm, dry blankets and his heaviest liamet. He gently rubbed her hands, then moved to her arms, attempting to coax warmth back into her chilled limbs. "Do you hear me? Remain by my side." Her eyelids fluttered, ever so slightly. She whispered, her voice barely rising above the chill so cold. Liam delved into his emergency kit, retrieving the heat packs and setting them into action. He tucked them into her garments, close to her essence, at the nape of her neck, beneath her arms. He paused for just a moment, then unzipped his coat and slid into the sleeping bag next to her, enveloping her shivering body in his warm embrace. "It's okay," he murmured softly, his lips brushing against her ear. "You are now in a place of safety. I will ensure your safety, no matter what." The wind outside continued its relentless howl. Time slipped away, each hour fading into the next. Liam continuously monitored her breathing, her pulse, and the hue of her complexion. She stirred from time to time, yet remained in a state of slumber, never fully awakening. He meticulously rationed his water, skillfully melted snow to keep her lips moist, and tended to the stove with the dry twigs he had carefully stowed away days prior. The tempest continued to rage, unabated. He found himself captivated by the contours of her face. With delicate high cheekbones and long lashes, she possessed a beauty that seemed out of place amidst the harshness of these brutal mountains. Who was she, truly? What was she doing out here all by herself? Only the storm raged on, leaving her with nothing but shallow, precious breaths and an absence of answers. In the deepest shadows of the night, she slowly opened her eyes. In that fleeting moment, their eyes locked, and time seemed to stand still. Her lips parted, revealing a world of unspoken thoughts. "You rescued me." Then her eyes fluttered shut once more. Liam forced down the lump that had formed in his throat. "Indeed," he murmured. "Yet, you must also find a way to rescue yourself. I refuse to allow you to perish in this desolate place." He embraced her more firmly, sensing the warmth gradually rekindling in her skin. The storm unleashed its fury beyond the walls, yet within the confines of the tent, a glimmer of hope emerged. As dawn broke, she stirred from her slumber once more. The tempest had subsided, bequeathing a world beyond that lay still and burdened beneath a thick blanket of snow. The sun seeped timidly through the tent's flap, draping a soft, muted glow over her features. Liam crouched close by, tending to the small camp stove as he brought water to a rolling boil. Her voice carried a gentle, raspy quality. "Where am I?" Liam spun around swiftly. "Hello, you have awakened." She blinked, a wave of confusion washing over her. "Who might you be?" "Liam," he said, "I have discovered you. On the winding mountain road, your car lay overturned, a testament to the treacherous journey it had endured. Half buried in snow, you found yourself ensnared by the cold embrace of winter." As she gazed downward, she noticed an array of strange garments and blankets enveloping her. Her fingers danced with a restless energy. "Did you truly save me?" "I suppose so," he responded, offering her a small tin cup filled with warm water. "You have been unconscious for almost 48 hours. Last night you were gripped by a fever. Do you recall any details?" With a slight tremor in her hands, she lifted the water to her lips and took a sip. Her complexion was ashen, the bruising on her forehead still prominent and swollen. Yet her eyes had grown more vigilant now. "My name is Evelyn," she declared after a brief pause. "I believe I was behind the wheel. A deer wandered through the woods. I veered sharply. The vehicle must have tumbled. My mobile device. The effort was in vain." "The storm obliterated every signal tower in this area," Liam remarked. "I was unable to make a call as well. We find ourselves quite distant from it all." Evelyn surveyed her surroundings with a deliberate slowness. The tent, though confined, offered a welcome reprieve from the dampness outside. In the corners, simple gear was meticulously arranged, while she reclined on a cozy nest of blankets and sleeping bags that unmistakably bore his mark. The air was imbued with a subtle blend of pine, smoke, and the crispness of cold. "Have you truly been by my side this entire time?" Liam gave a subtle nod. "Choice was not something I possessed. Your strength had waned, leaving you unable to stir, and I found myself unable to bear you any great distance. I decided it was wiser to bide my time in this place." A constriction gripped her chest. "Thank you very much." Liam gave a nonchalant shrug. "It's nothing to worry about. I'm simply relieved to know that you're safe." For the ensuing days, they remained within the confines of the tent, as a relentless snowfall obstructed any possibility of journeying forth. Liam crafted uncomplicated dishes from the provisions at his disposal. Canned beans, instant noodles, dried fruit, each item a staple, yet they held a deeper significance as they were shared with Evelyn. He cracked jokes to ease the tension, showed her the proper way to warm her hands, and even offered her his sole pair of thick socks when hers remained damp. Evelyn, accustomed to the quietude and polished opulence of her surroundings, discovered an unexpected solace in the raw, untamed rhythms of her new environment. She inquired about his journeys, and he recounted the towns he had traversed, the individuals he had encountered, the peaks he had scaled. In exchange, she shared only fragments of her life, cautious and ambiguous, maintaining a sense of levity while skillfully avoiding any deep revelations. Yet, within his presence lay an essence that enveloped her in a profound sense of safety, not merely in the physical realm, but in a deeper, more serene way, as if she could finally exhale. On the third night, the wind made its presence known once more, not with the same ferocity as before, yet still cutting and lamenting as it wove through the trees. Liam observed Evelyn, trembling, even with the multitude of blankets wrapped around her. He leaned in, his hand brushing against her forehead as he assessed her condition. The warmth enveloped everything, perhaps a touch too much. "You've got a fever again," he muttered, concern etching deeper lines across his face. He ignited the stove, brought more water to a boil, administered a painkiller, yet her body continued to tremble uncontrollably. Her breath became shallow, and a flush crept across her skin. "We mustn't allow your temperature to rise any further," he stated, This may seem strange, yet it's the sole method I have to bring it down. She gradually opened her eyes. What are you trying to say? With a swift motion, Liam unzipped the sleeping bag, intense warmth radiating from the body. I have accomplished this previously during my mountain rescue training. All you need to do is place your trust in me. For just a fleeting moment, she paused. She nodded in response. Liam nestled into the sleeping bag next to her, his arms encircling her gently, his broader form enveloping hers in a protective embrace. His body radiated warmth, a steady rhythm that drew her in, and she instinctively leaned closer. His voice was a gentle whisper, soothing her breath into a steady rhythm. You will be just fine. Simply remain by my side. She closed her eyes once more, but this time not out of weakness, but rather from a sense of comfort. Once again, the snow descended softly from the heavens. Within the confines of the tent, two strangers found solace not merely from the biting cold, but from an unarticulated connection that had already begun to blossom between them. On the fifth morning, a distant hum of a helicopter pierced the stillness. Liam emerged from the tent, raising a hand to shield his eyes from the blinding glare of the sun that bounced off him. A search team clad in vivid orange parkas materialized from the thicket, their voices rising in a chorus of excitement as they drew near. Evelyn, though still frail, was awake, cradling a warm cup of tea in her hands as they entered the tent. For days we've been searching for you, one of the rescuers said, kneeling beside her. Your family has been driven to the brink of madness. Liam lingered at a distance, observing as they assessed her condition, enveloped her in thermal blankets, and carefully positioned an oxygen mask over her face. Evelyn stole furtive glances at Liam, her thoughts swirling with unspoken words, yet the world around them rushed by in a blur. Before she could utter a single word, she was hoisted into the chopper. She cast one last glance over her shoulder, her gaze intertwining with his, brimming with a depth of emotion that remained unvoiced. And then she vanished. Liam stood amidst the snow, his hands buried deep within the confines of his liamet, the abrupt stillness enveloping him more deafening than the tempest had ever been. Evelyn stirred awake 3 days later in a hospital suite, where expansive windows framed the room and the fragrance of lilies lingered in the air. Her body throbbed with pain, yet her memory surged back in striking clarity. Trees, ice, headlights, the moment of impact. Evelyn Sinclair was the heiress of the Sinclair Group, a prominent luxury development conglomerate that stood among the largest in the nation. She journeyed alone, surveying the landscape for a prospective mountain resort, an exclusive haven for the affluent elite. The road lay slick with ice, and the deer emerged as if conjured from the shadows. Yet those fleeting memories paled in comparison to the singular visage that lingered in my mind. Liam, the man who discovered her amidst the snow, enveloped her in warmth, shielding her without ever inquiring about her identity or the burdens she carried. He had rescued her from the brink of despair, only for her to vanish into silence, leaving no trace behind. Her heart was laden with guilt, accompanied by an undercurrent of something more profound. A week later, Evelyn found herself ensconced in her office, perched high above the bustling city, enveloped by glass, chrome, and an unending stream of emails. Ava, her assistant, entered the room, a tablet in hand. Investors are seeking your insights regarding the Aspen project. They wish to rearrange the schedule. Not now, Evelyn said, her voice cutting through the air. I'm requesting you to undertake a different task. Ava paused, uncertainty flickering in her mind. What could it be? I'm asking you to seek out an individual. Ava's eyelids fluttered. All right. Who is it? Evelyn pivoted her chair to face the window, her voice now a gentle whisper. He is known as Liam. I am unaware of his surname. A backpacker, likely in his mid to late 20s. He came to my rescue following my accident. He had set up his camp close to Ridge 6, just off the Western Trail. That offers little to work with. I know, Evelyn replied. Yet, I must seek him out. The following days morphed into an all-consuming fixation. Evelyn bypassed meetings, turned a deaf ear to calls, and even neglected to show up at a private gala her mother had strongly urged her to attend. She meticulously examined each search report from the rescue team, cross-referenced park permits, and engaged in direct conversations with the mountain rangers. Ava observed with a furrowed brow. Evelyn, It seems that others are beginning to take notice. Your father, Evelyn interrupted, her voice laced with frustration. Let them notice. They were not the ones sprawled in the snow shivering, on the brink of death. He existed. He stood before her, and she hesitated, her voice quivering with emotion. Yet, I failed to express my gratitude. That evening, she found herself solitary in her penthouse, cocooned in a blanket, gazing out at the shimmering skyline, her eyes filled with unshed tears, emotions carefully concealed from the world around her. If I do not see him again, she whispered into the stillness, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Ava slipped out of the room, her expression resolute and filled with purpose. She would seek him out. For Evelyn, and for the unspoken reality that lay bare for all to witness, this transcended mere gratitude. It was love, pure and undeniable, emerging subtly from the depths of snow and stillness, now radiating with an intensity that demands attention. Liam had rejoined the road, his backpack once more resting on his shoulders, boots encrusted with a mix of dust and snow, traversing from town to town, as he had always done. Yet, everything felt different. The mountains retained their beauty, the silence enveloped him in comfort, yet his thoughts wandered relentlessly to that tempest, to the woman whose hands shook and whose eyes held a softness as she breathed her name like it was the last remnant of her being. Evelyn. He was unaware of her surname, had no means to contact her, and no certainty that she even recalled him. Yet, her memory clung to him, much like the persistent chill of that night, steadfast in its refusal to dissipate. On a quiet afternoon, just beyond the borders of a quaint mountain town, Liam sat on a bench, enjoying a modest lunch, when a sleek black SUV came to a halt before him. Two impeccably attired gentlemen emerged, their suits flawlessly tailored, their gazes icy and unyielding. William, one of them inquired, though it was more a statement than an actual question. Liam nodded slowly, a sense of caution creeping in. Who inquires? A man extended a polished envelope toward him, a gesture of gratitude for your actions. With a furrowed brow, Liam pried it open. Within lay a substantial pile of cash, surpassing anything he had encountered in years. He shut it once more in silence and raised his gaze. Who dispatched you? A man, choosing to keep his identity concealed, spoke up. A person filled with gratitude, yet tinged with worry. Miss Sinclair's world is fragile, intricate. You were never destined to belong to it. Liam stood, his jaw set tight. I have no desire for her wealth. The man spoke with a calm demeanor, stating, We're not asking you to do it for the money. We're asking you to take it and walk away, Liam said, his voice barely above a whisper. Convey to the one who dispatched you that I wish for them to retain the money and refrain from any further involvement in my existence. With a flick of his wrist, he sent the envelope sailing onto the bench before turning on his heel and striding away. Yet the men continued to observe, unwavering in their gaze. In the days that ensued, Liam began to observe the world around him. A man, camera in hand, feigns engrossment in a newspaper. A dark vehicle came to a halt opposite the budget hostel where he was lodging. In the town, hushed murmurs filled the air, and gazes swiftly averted whenever he raised his eyes. They observed in silence, biding their time. One evening, as he navigated a narrow side street after gathering supplies, they launched their attack. 3 men emerged from the shadows of a delivery truck, obstructing his way. One of them let out a sharp sound as he cracked his knuckles. You were cautioned, he remarked. Liam pivoted, only to find another figure looming behind him. He scarcely had a moment to prepare himself. A powerful fist struck his abdomen, while another landed squarely on his jaw. He faltered, taken by surprise, attempted to resist, yet they were swifter, more skilled. He struck the pavement with a brutal force, blood staining his lip, his hands clawing against the unforgiving gravel. What does a man like you believe he's up to? With a sharp hiss, one of them seized Liam by the collar. Do you truly believe you are meant to be with her? Suddenly, the piercing sound of tires screeching filled the air. A silver car came to a screeching stop mere feet away. The door burst open, and a woman sprang forth with urgency. Halt! Evelyn's voice sliced through the air with a sharp intensity. Step away from him. The men stood still, caught in a moment of disbelief. Evelyn dashed toward Liam, collapsing onto her knees beside him. Her designer coat danced in the breeze, yet she remained unfazed. Her hands gently cupped his battered face, and as she gazed up at the men, a fierce fire ignited in her eyes. "Touch him again," she hissed through gritted teeth, "and I will obliterate everything you've built." With a moment of uncertainty, they retreated a step. Liam coughed, a crimson stain marring his lip, his gaze fixed on her in utter disbelief. "Is that you, Evelyn?" She nodded, her eyes beginning to brim with tears. "I have discovered you." She enveloped him in her embrace, quivering with emotion. "I sincerely apologize. I was unaware that they would take such action. I have searched for you in every corner." Liam, lingering in a haze, allowed her to embrace him. Her warmth enveloped me, a comforting presence that felt undeniably genuine. Evelyn murmured, "I ought to have revealed my true identity to you." Fear gripped me, yet I stand my ground now. I stand firm, resolute in my presence, and I shall not depart without you by my side. For the first time, since the snow had melted away, Liam experienced a sensation he had not encountered in weeks. Secure, desired, sanctuary. Snow descended once more, dense and weighty, dancing through the atmosphere like a recollection echoing through time. Evelyn sank to her knees in the alley, clutching Liam's bruised form, her tears streaming down, warm against the biting cold of the wind. Crimson droplets trickled from a gash on his cheek, staining the fabric of her designer coat, yet she remained unfazed. "I'm here," she whispered repeatedly, her voice trembling with raw emotion. "Here I am, Liam. I have discovered you." Liam, panting softly, gazed up at her, his expression one of utter disbelief. Her hair glistened with the remnants of snow, her cheeks rosy from the chill and the rush of fear, yet her eyes, those very eyes he had seen awaken within the confines of that tent, burned with an intense flame. The assailants hesitated, retreating a step, their confidence wavering in the face of the unexpected. Evelyn spun around, her voice escalating with rage. "Who granted you the authority to lay a hand on him?" Her voice pierced the air, each word a lethal dart. "Who gave you the right to harm the man who rescued me?" In the midst of the tempest, they remained still, enveloped by the fierce winds that roared around them. "I don't care if it was my father who ordered it, the board, or anyone else," she continued, her voice quaking with fury. "If I ever catch any of you lurking near him again, I swear on my name, I shall turn my back on my family, on all that I know, for eternity." Silence enveloped the scene, and not a single soul stirred. Silence enveloped the room. Evelyn glanced back at Liam, tenderly sweeping his hair away from his forehead. "Once more," she murmured. "I'm sorry. I ought to have arrived earlier. I ought to have shielded you from harm." Liam gradually propped himself up, a dull ache coursing through his body. "And you? Did you recall every detail?" She nodded, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "Indeed, the car, the snow, the crash linger in my memory. Your voice echoed in my mind, urging me to resist the pull of slumber. Your embrace lingered in my memory, a lifeline that sustained me." Liam gazed at her, his voice barely above a whisper. "And in that moment of recollection, as you unearthed the essence of your being, did the memory of my existence also resurface within you? Merely a backpacker? Merely an insignificant figure?" Evelyn drew nearer, her hands gently cradling his face. "You are not insignificant. You are the one who revealed to me the essence of safety, the feeling of being truly seen. You bestowed upon me a gift that transcends any monetary value, your heart." Liam blinked, caught in a moment of uncertainty, his mind racing for words. Evelyn clasped his hand gently within her own. "The world beyond holds no significance for me. Allow them to speak, allow them to form their opinions. I will not abandon you." He locked eyes with her, his heart racing beneath the weight of his wounds. "Are you not afraid of what lies ahead?" "I'm terrified," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "Yet, what terrifies me more is the thought of never experiencing the emotions that arise when I'm by your side." Liam took a deep breath, his throat tightening. "Let us proceed with determination. What should be done?" Embrace it, united, every bit of it. Evelyn's smile shone brightly, even as tears streamed down her cheeks. In unison, they assisted one another in rising, their grips unwavering, while the snowflakes danced down around them. The assailants who had confronted Liam gradually withdrew, dissolving into the tempest. In that fleeting moment, Evelyn cast her gaze away from everyone else, for only two souls held significance in her world. Two hearts, battered yet resilient, entwined in each other's embrace, steadfast against a world that sought to separate them. Allow their whispers to linger in the air. Allow them to question. They had discovered a rarity, and they were determined to hold on tightly. The headlines erupted with fervor, dominating newsstands, homepages, and social media feeds. Wildfire, Heiress and her hero, billionaire Evelyn Sinclair, entangled with enigmatic backpacker. Once upon a time, there was a girl who lived in a grand palace, surrounded by luxury and elegance. She had everything she could ever desire, but her heart longed for something more. One fateful night, she decided to leave her opulent life behind, shedding her royal garments and slipping into the simplicity of the world outside, as she ventured into Sinclair Heiress ops for love instead of legacy. Who was Liam? Who is Liam, the man who captured the heart of Sinclair Heiress? Evelyn had anticipated the spotlight. She had steeled herself for the murmurs and inquisitive stares, yet she was unprepared for the raw ferocity of it all. The frenzy of the media grew overwhelming. Journalists stationed themselves outside her residence around the clock. The paparazzi pursued her vehicle through the city streets, relentless as predators, their flashes unending and their shouts intrusive. Even reputable business publications released speculative opinion pieces, pondering whether her emotional instability might undermine investor confidence in Sinclair Group. The media cast Liam in various lights, branding him a mystery man one moment and an opportunist the next. They delved into his history, his absence of lineage, his wandering existence, seeking to comprehend how a woman of Evelyn's stature could ever be drawn to a man of his kind. Her parents were furious. "You're shattering everything we've created," her mother hissed one evening, her fingers quivering around a crystal glass. In the dining room of the Sinclair penthouse, they sat, gazing down at the city that sparkled like a sea of stars far beneath their feet. "You have brought shame upon the family. Evelyn," your name resonated like a brand. Now it has become the subject of idle chatter. Her father's disappointment lingered in the air, subtle yet piercing. "You are more than simply our daughter. You hold the position of an executive, embodying the essence of leadership. This life was the very purpose of your upbringing. Do you believe that love justifies abandoning your obligations?" Evelyn listened, her demeanor one of quiet determination rather than rebellion. She allowed their words to drop like heavy stones into the stillness, pausing to listen as the echoes gradually diminished. With a gentle yet resolute tone, she declared, "If I must decide between the wealth you have amassed and the man who rescued me, I choose him." They gazed at her, utterly astonished, yet she truly meant every word. In the midst of it all, Liam struggled to stay afloat. The bustling city, the relentless media scrutiny, the extravagant gatherings, none of it belonged to his realm. He donned the suit selected by Evelyn's assistant, positioned himself beside her at press events, exchanged handshakes with executives, and maintained a smile throughout the entire experience. He longed for the forest, the serenity, the sincerity of individuals who were indifferent to the name you bore or the value you held. With each flute of champagne that was thrust into his hand and every inquiry about his hedge fund affiliation, he sensed the walls tightening around him. Not a single word escaped his lips in Evelyn's presence. He wished for her to know that there was no need for her to make a choice. Yet, the fissures became evident. It was at the annual charity gala of the Sinclair Foundation that the breaking point was reached. The ballroom exuded an air of sophistication, with chandeliers shimmering above, menus adorned with gold edges, and the gentle strains of an orchestra filling the atmosphere. Evelyn donned an emerald green gown that sparkled with the brilliance of starlight as she glided through the room. She embodied the essence of an heiress, perfectly fitting the mold of the woman they desired her to become. Liam lingered at the periphery of the room, observing her as she effortlessly engaged with the donors, chuckled graciously at their jokes, and struck poses for the cameras. She exuded brilliance, grace, and an air of untouchability. A figure drew near, a glass of scotch in hand. "Which company do you represent once more?" The man inquired with a nonchalant air. You resemble Westmont, or perhaps one of those trendy boutique startups." Liam remained silent. He was unable to do so. He pivoted, made his way to the exit, discreetly slipped through the side door, and continued on his path. The rain began to descend, gentle and ethereal, as if weeping from the heavens. Liam eased his tie from around his neck, buried his hands deep into the pockets of his coat, and strolled down the desolate street, each footfall weighing down on him more than the one before. He felt absurd, misplaced, like a specter wandering through another's reverie. Evelyn felt his absence keenly from the very start. Her gaze swept across the ballroom, the vibrant atmosphere dimming as her smile slowly disappeared amidst the throng of faces. Upon discovering his departure, she acted without a moment's pause. She sprinted away. She stepped out into the rain, the silk of her gown clinging to her legs, her heels echoing against the slick pavement. Her hair clung to her skin, drenched and heavy, while mascara ran like dark rivers down her cheeks. Yet she remained indifferent to it all. "William," she cried, her voice shattering the silence. He spun around, taken aback. His heart tightened at the sight of her, soaked, gasping for air, glowing even amidst the tempest. "Evelyn, what are you up to?" he inquired, his voice scarcely rising above the sound of the rain. She halted before him, breathless. "You stepped outside. I simply do not belong there," he stated. "Within the realm you inhabit." She shook her head, tears blending with the rain that fell around her. "Do you not understand? Life loses its meaning in a world devoid of your presence." "If it came to that, I would relinquish everything." Liam averted his gaze. I find myself lost, uncertain of my identity in the midst of it all." "You're meant to be yourself," she said, her fingers intertwining with his, holding on firmly. "That is the person I fell in love with." He gazed at her, taken aback by the intensity radiating from her eyes. She inhaled deeply. "I would choose to dwell in a rustic cabin alongside you, awakening to the melodious chirping of birds, savoring humble coffee, and warming my hands by a crackling fire, rather than reign as a queen in a soulless palace. I would choose a life of simplicity by your side over the solitude of a lonely queen." Liam remained silent. He drew her into his embrace, cradling her tightly, as the rain cascaded around them, enveloping them in a sacred gift. At that instant, all else faded into insignificance. Neither headlines nor fortune nor legacy, just love, just them. Following that fateful night in the rain, everything transformed. Liam chose not to walk away again. He strode ahead, Evelyn accompanying him closely. They ventured back to the mountains, not merely to flee from the world, but to forge something new, something of significance. The strategy was straightforward, yet audacious. Develop a tourism initiative rooted in the community, one that safeguards the pristine beauty of the landscape, while uplifting and empowering its inhabitants. Liam introduced the concept. Evelyn provided the necessary resources. United, they brought it to life. They journeyed from one village to another, engaging with the elders, absorbing the rich traditions, and attuning themselves to the needs of the community. They arrived without checkbooks or blueprints in hand. They arrived with hearts wide open. Through each handshake and every meal savored by the flickering campfire, a foundation of trust was carefully constructed. In a move that sent ripples through the business community, Evelyn announced her resignation as CEO of Sinclair Group, leaving many in disbelief. She declared her decision to step away from being the public representative of a company that no longer aligned with her beliefs. Not in a similar manner. "I'm not walking away," she declared to the reporters. "I am simply making my way to a place that holds greater promise." She embraced an advisory role, skillfully reallocating funds towards sustainable tourism, education, and the empowerment of local communities. The board hesitated. Her father voiced his objections, yet Evelyn remained resolute. Liam, who once wandered with nothing but a backpack and a tranquil spirit, transformed into a beacon of something greater. Genuine passion, dynamic movement, and a love unafraid to embrace the messiness of life. United in purpose, they dedicated themselves to constructing schools in distant villages, empowering local craftsmen, financing water systems, and erecting bridges that would reunite families separated by rivers for generations. The children burst into the new classroom, their voices ringing out as they called each other's names with unrestrained joy. It was the women who imparted the art of weaving to Evelyn. Liam toiled alongside the villagers, united in their efforts to maintain the trails and construct eco-friendly cabins. The initiative, known as Pathway North, transcended mere development. A profound movement unfolded. As the months unfolded, the mountains once more adorned themselves with a vibrant tapestry of wildflowers. The festivals have made their triumphant return. Spirits soared. Hope, long concealed under layers of snow and struggle, emerged like the first crocus heralding the arrival of spring. Then the festival arrived. The air was thick with the spirit of festivity, a vibrant tapestry woven from the threads of culture, the bounty of the harvest, and the promise of fresh starts. In the very core of a highland village, encircled by terraced fields, bonfires blazed brightly as the rhythmic beat of drums resonated through the night air. Vibrant banners danced gracefully in the breeze. Children twirled in joyous circles, their laughter ascending towards the stars. Liam positioned himself at the heart of the village square, his heart pounding with anticipation. Evelyn lingered close, her bare feet resting on the firm earth, her hair intricately braided with vibrant strands of red thread gifted to her by the local girls. Her visage radiated in the flickering glow of the firelight. She had never appeared more radiant, more vibrant. With the rhythm of the gongs fading into a hushed stillness, the village elder lifted his hand, signaling for quiet, and Liam took a step forward. He faced Evelyn, inhaled deeply, and knelt down on one knee. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Evelyn's hands shot up to cover her mouth. "I never thought I'd find you," he murmured, his voice weaving through the stillness. "In the heart of the tempest, I finally took the plunge. Your impact on my life has been profound, revealing possibilities I never imagined existed. You revealed to me that love requires no grand palace. It simply requires honesty." He retrieved a small box from his pocket. Within lay not a diamond, but a modest silver ring, delicately engraved with the silhouette of a lily, the very flower that had blossomed at the place of their first encounter. Evelyn's eyes brimmed with tears. "Will you continue to construct this life alongside me?" Liam inquired. "Would you do me the honor of becoming my spouse?" She sank to her knees beside him, laughter mingling with her tears, and wrapped her arms tightly around his neck. "Indeed," she murmured softly. "Indeed." A resounding affirmation, 1,000 times over. Cheers erupted from the crowd. The gongs resonated through the air. The sky was ablaze with the brilliance of fireworks, modest, handcrafted splashes of color that glimmered overhead. In that secluded mountain village, distanced from the clamor of authority and the chaos of the outside world, two hearts resonated in perfect harmony. Their love had weathered tempests, concealed truths, and deep wounds. At last, it was poised to take root. A year had passed, and the snow descended gently upon the treetops, enveloping the mountain in a serene, whispering embrace. The forest rested quietly, burdened by the chill of winter's embrace. Every branch gracefully dipped under the weight of the new snow. In the heart of the tranquil wilderness, a quaint wooden cabin radiated warmth, its chimney exhaling tendrils of smoke that danced gracefully into the clear, silvery sky. The interior was suffused with the rich aromas of pine, firewood, and cinnamon tea. A gentle golden glow emanated from the fireplace, waltzing over the wood-paneled walls and creating shadows that elongated and swayed like echoes of the past. Evelyn nestled in an armchair near the crackling fire, her legs cocooned in a warm wool blanket, a notebook perched delicately on the soft curve of her burgeoning belly. One hand grasped a pen, while the other languidly traced slow circles over the fabric that spanned her waist. With deliberate strokes, she penned her words, her brow knitted in deep contemplation. These words were meant for no audience, neither for the headlines nor the boardrooms. They were for her, for the woman she had once been, for the girl lost in the snow, for the soul who discovered meaning, not in a skyscraper, but in the gentle hum of a forest and the unwavering presence of the man who had rescued her. From the far side of the room, Liam stepped in, freshly back from the trail. The wooden floor bore the evidence of his passage, marked by the damp prints of his boots. His hair was lightly coated with the soft touch of melting snow. His cheeks flushed with the chill, his breath infused with the sharp essence of the mountain air. He set his gear down by the door and removed his gloves, his gaze instantly locking onto hers. Are you still toiling away on your magnum opus?" With a playful grin, he tossed his coat over the hook. Evelyn lifted her gaze, her eyes glimmering with a gentle light. "I aim to convey not merely the events that transpired, but the significance they held and the transformations they brought about." Liam approached, his footsteps soft and respectful. He knelt beside her chair, his hand resting softly on her belly. The arrival of our little one could very well become the most cherished chapter of that tale. Evelyn chuckled gently, her fingers enveloping his. "They already possess the skill to perform flips. It seems they are preparing for the Olympics." He inclined his head and pressed a gentle kiss to the curve of her belly, lingering there for a moment, his head resting softly against her warmth. "I wish for them to carry your flame," he whispered. "I hope they appreciate your patience," she replied. They lingered in quietude, attuned to the gentle crackle of the fire and the soft whisper of snowflakes brushing against the window pane. The warmth enveloping the cabin transcended the flickering flames of the hearth. It emanated from the life they had deliberately crafted together. Life unfolded for them in a straightforward manner, yet each moment brimmed with meaning. The Sinclair Path, the community tourism initiative they had established together, had blossomed and thrived. What began as a vision, hastily penned in a tent amidst a swirling snowstorm, evolved into a beacon of sustainable development, uniting cultures and shaping futures. Eco-cabins adorned the winding trails. In a warm embrace of hospitality, local families welcomed travelers into their homes, weaving together tales of old and imparting cherished traditions. All actions were steered by a profound sense of respect, honor for the earth, for its inhabitants, for the bond that unites them. Evelyn wielded her name not as a means to ascend, but as a tool to elevate. Though she had stepped away from podiums and board meetings, her influence lingered in every corner. Within the walls of the classrooms they constructed, through the scholarships she generously provided, and in the programs she discreetly championed, she guided young women from mountain villages who had once thought their voices held no significance beyond the hills. Liam evolved into a figure of legend. A man emerged from the shadows, rescuing an heiress and choosing to remain. Not for the sake of fame but for a purpose that ran far deeper. He imparted survival skills, guided treks for at-risk youth, and revealed to them the strength they could discover within themselves and in the wilderness that enveloped them. As the evening unfolded, snowflakes danced gracefully through the air, blanketing the world in a soft, white embrace. Evelyn found solace, resting her head against Liam's shoulder, enveloped in warmth amidst the winter's chill. Her fingers danced in gentle circles upon his sleeve, the flickering firelight casting a warm glow upon their skin. "Do you recall the very first night our paths crossed?" she inquired gently. Amidst the tempest, he spoke with a smile that was difficult to erase from memory. "I believed my end was near," she murmured. "I recall the moment, pondering, this is the end of the line. Yet, in that moment, your voice reached my ears." Liam faced her, gently tucking a stray lock of hair behind her cheek. "Yet, you persevered. You didn't allow me," she remarked. "You rescued me." He halted, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's amusing to reflect on how I once believed I was merely a fleeting presence in your life, much like a sudden breeze, present for an instant, then vanished." Evelyn raised her hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "Yet, you were not." Liam pressed his forehead gently against hers. "You were the sanctuary that anchored my heart." They lingered in that moment, two souls entwined in a tranquility that only love could bestow. Outside, winter softly sang its soothing lullaby once again. Yet within, there existed nothing but warmth, nothing but light, and the gentle rhythm of hearts poised to embrace a new arrival. Though the world outside their window remained encased in frost, within their humble cabin, spring had already taken root, quiet, steadfast, and everlasting. Thus, from a snowstorm that almost claimed a life to a love that altered fate, Evelyn and Liam's odyssey serves as a poignant reminder that often it is the individuals we least anticipate who hold the power to transform our world entirely. Not through riches, nor through prestige, but with a heart full of warmth, a spirit brimming with courage, and a love so profound it can weather any tempest. Though they hailed from disparate realms, their hearts resonated with a shared dialect. If this tale resonated with your spirit, rekindled your faith in unforeseen love, fresh starts, and the gentle allure of an unadorned existence, then share it with others. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon to ensure you never miss a tale that resonates with your soul. Welcome to Soul Stirring Stories, a place where each narrative unfolds as a voyage back to the heart.